Baby girl, how do I look in my DURAG? On April 3rd, 2020, Thundercat released his 4th studio album, It Is What It Is. And here's what I thought. Thundercat is the American jazz funk fusion musician, songwriter, record producer, singer, and bass extraordinaire. I first heard of him back in 2017 when my roommate cranked them changes up on his car. I instantly fell in love with the jazz fusion kind of vibes that were coming from the track, and I decided to check out Drunk, the album that had that track on it. A lot of the tracks on Drunk are so intense and so in your face, it was something great. It was just great. It was great. I also found out later that Thundercat was one of the main creative forces behind To Pimp a Butterfly. And if you go back and listen to that record, I mean, sonically, that totally makes sense. And if you're watching this and you don't know who Thundercat is, I highly recommend going and checking out Them Changes and even Dragon Ball DURAG and then coming back here and holla at your boy. This new album features the track Dragon Ball DURAG, which was kind of the first track I heard from this album, which got me super stoked for the release. And now, after my first few listens, I'm going to tell you about all the things I liked and don't like about the songs. So let's pull a Philip DeFranco and let's just jump into it. Track 1, Lost in Space. Track 1, Lost in Space / Great Scott / 22 to 26. So one thing I noticed about this track, and I guess the rest of the album, is that Thundercat is really back with his spaced out production and kind of psychedelic kissed, sounds. This first track is very mellow. Thundercat is kind of wondering where he is, if he's alone, and if he should get the show started. All this kind of makes him feel lost in space, hence the first iteration of the title. Then we go to track 2, Interstellar Love. We continue on with the kind of spacey vibes, but there's a really jazzy drum line, and then Thundercat comes in with his intricate bass. It's classic, it feels familiar. But his bass almost kind of seems muddled underneath all the spacey production that's happening on top. Flying Lotus helped produce actually a lot of this album, this song included, and you really kind of get those trippy vibes from some of the more intricate aspects of the production. There's a really cool saxophone solo happening halfway through the song, but it still feels like the intro to the album. In regards to the lyrics, there's not much to say because there's not very many of them. Thundercat's still lost in space, hoping that he can find some interstellar love. I think the best part of the song are the saxophone and the drums. Track 3, I Love Lewis Cole. The song feels like I just got a star in Mario and now I'm running on Rainbow Road. And I'm winning. Oh yeah, I'm winning. Now this song feels like it could really have started the album. It has that orchestral intro, the drums kind of start building in the background ready to erupt. And when they do, Thundercat's classic high-paced bass line comes in and really drives the song. Lyrically, the song is pretty funny. Thundercat is just talking about his love for Lewis Cole. How they party together and all that fun stuff. And Lewis's reply is pretty funny too, especially his response, I remember you were punching my friends. I mean, it's a fairly innocent song that's kind of just about a best friendship. Solid bass break after the second chorus. It's fun. Track 4, Black Quails. Is it quails? Qualls? Qualls? Black? Yeah. The song features Steve Lacy, Steve Arrington, and couldn't say that. And Childish Gambino. The funk is here. Where's the funk? Oh, the funk is here. Steve Lacy has some sexy vocals off the start. He sounds really nice talking, or I guess singing back and forth with Thundercat. Plus the guitar work, which I think is Steve Lacy as well, is spot on. The bass is forever moving all over this track, but it keeps the track kind of together somehow, It's like grabbing everything from around the song and keeping the funk together. Is that how funk works? Funk. There's a lot happening in the song, and I definitely recommend a few listens to try to take everything in. And that chorus is so catchy.
'Cause there's no more living in fear.
And then Gambino comes in, and if you've seen any of my other videos, I do love Gambino. He has a great verse, but I will say that his vocal quality seems a little bit more crisp compared to the other singers on the song. It almost took me off guard at first, In his verse, he's talking about how we're all kind of walking around clueless with our phones, Similar sort of themes that he touched on some of his songs on his latest release. Track 5, Miguel's Happy Dance. This song is kind of like a stream of consciousness, almost kind of like a freestyle dance. Thundercat is telling you just to do the happy dance and everything will kind of sort itself out. It's nothing revolutionary, but the first line does always get me with how direct it is. Track 6, How Sway. This song is a wickedly fast and complex bass solo. This is a song you definitely want to see live and just marvel in Thundercat's bass playing ability. It sounds and kind of feels like you're playing the most futuristic Nintendo game in the middle of Shibuya Crossing. Track 7. Funny thing about track 7, it's called Funny Thing. I love this jam. The pulsating synths really add a fresh element to the song and album so far. And the deep, almost like bass pairs with it very nicely. The song sees Thundercat almost lusting for someone, just wanting to go to a party and hanging out with this person because they make him feel so great. Or in his words, all right. Thundercat is great at capturing kind of like the, I don't want to say loss of words because he makes words up for it, but the kind of feeling you get when you really want to hang out with someone, you know? He just says it how he feels it, and I love him for that. The instrumentals are great, and I kind of wish the song was longer than the runtime that it currently is, which is under 2 minutes. There was a faster way to say that. I just don't know what it was. Track 8, Overseas. This song is pretty funny. The song is about Thundercat hypothetically wanting to meet someone in a foreign place overseas, maybe like Brazil or Japan or Russia, which is funny because he has like a list of things he'd do in like Brazil and Japan, but then when it comes to Russia, we could meet up in Russia. Meet up in Russia. Then we hear comedian Zach Fox as like a airplane, what are they called? Flight attendant. And he's giving like an announcement. And he notices Thundercat getting some action from a lady. Track 9, How Do I Look in My DURAG? Now this jam. The song is so sexy and seductive, but ridiculous. Thundercat is really trying to impress someone, and again, this song really captures the kind of giddiness that you get when you're infatuated with someone. He says such ridiculous things like,
You like my new whip? Watch me go zoom, zoom.
Or my personal favorite,
I may be covered in cat hair, but I still smell good.
this whole song, he's so upfront with all the lyrics. Did you wear that dress just for me? Cause I'ma try to smash. And the video, which is actually directed by comedian Zach Fox, is also hilarious. Thundercat is out there trying to impress people like Quinta Brunson, Caliuches, and the Haim sisters. It's a great video. Track 10, How Do I Feel? Oh, sorry. Track 10, How I Feel. I already know, apparently. Pretty trippy tune. Flying Lotus and Thundercat really have fun on the production here. Spacey intergalactic arpeggioed keyboards, some bells. The song really feels like an interlude, kind of bringing us to the last part of the album. Track 11, King of the Hill. The song almost has some like Drake vibes off the top, like, you know, if you're reading this kind of vibes with the do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Has some nice strings in the background. The song is retrospective. Thundercat is really reflecting on what's important to him in his life. And I would assume that love is one of those things, especially when we hear the
Love, love, love.
kind of playing throughout the song. But the song doesn't do tons for me. Sorry. Track 12, Unrequited Love. Super sexy, slower jam, but still with a killer bass intro. But what do you expect, Anthony? It's a Thundercat record after all. Apparently the song is an insert song for an anime TV show called Carol and Tuesday, where a character named Skip, which according to Genius is voiced by Thundercat, performs the song at a festival. The song is about not being over someone that you love. And it's a nice song, it's just, you know, nothing revolutionary. Track 13, Fair Chance. Now this song is about and is kind of a tribute to Mac Miller, who passed away in 2018. You know, Thundercat's been on record saying that, you know, Mac was such a big part of the musical community and his death really impacted the community. I feel like we see Thundercat really wrestle with this reality, especially with lines like bye bye for now and even saying the title track, it is what it is. Ty Dolla $ign is featured on the song and he does his own kind of tribute to Mac by switching up the lyrics of Mac's song Hurt Feelings, adding his own kind of spin on the lyrics and kind of letting Mac know how things are, you know, without him. We also hear Lil B share his feelings as well. It's a beautiful track and has some really heavy meaning. It's the most serious this album gets, and I think it's needed at this point. Track 14, Existential Trip. Dang it. Existential Dread. Another interlude type track, especially because it only lasts like 52 seconds. Thundercat again kind of going through the fact that he will be okay, especially after the heaviness of the last track. And finally, track 15, It Is What It Is. This is yet another tune for Mac, and Thundercat is really hurting. He has a broken heart, so many things were left unsaid. Thundercat is expressing his feelings in such an honest way that I don't think we've ever seen him emote before. The first part of the track kind of fades, and then the second part kind of comes up, and Thundercat says, "Hey Mac," before paying tribute to him the best way he can, musically. Strings and drums kind of litter the last few minutes of this album. The listener is kind of left with an uneasy feeling, kind of like Thundercat, not really sure what comes next. But at the same time, you kind of have a notion that something is reassuring, especially with the last lines, "It is what it is." But there you have it. A very decent record that sounds quite similar to a lot of Thundercat's previous releases, especially when we're talking about production. In some cases, yeah, don't fix what's not broken, but I kind of would have loved to see a little bit more exploration on Thundercat's part. I do like the exploration of him tapping into his emotions, you know, especially reflecting on Mac. I also love the contrasting silliness of Dragon Ball DURAG, which does make this record a solid spin, but again, I think it could have been just a little bit more. But yeah, I'd give this record 6.5 Dragon Ball DURAGs out of 10. But that's just my initial verdict. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. And if there's an upcoming record that you want me to check out, let me know. But yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and wash your hands. No, seriously, stay inside, wash your hands, play Animal Crossing, listen to music. Just don't leave. Be safe. And until next time, peace.